Shipwrecks have been resting in Lake Huron for over 200 years. Meteorologist Ulysses Garcia took a trip down to Thunder Bay to examine how the weather has changed them over time. Take a look.
Thunder Bay is known as a shipwreck sanctuary. I am aboard the Lady Michigan, and joining me is Andrew Augustine from the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary. Why is it called Thunder Bay?
So there's a couple reasons you might call it Thunder Bay. There's lore that goes back to, the 1800s when you had the natives that lived in the area. And if you're familiar with the bird that's called a partridge, their name for the partridge was called Anamaki. And when a partridge beats its wings, you hear it sounds like a rolling thunder. So it kind of stems from that a little bit of the lore, as well as when you get those nasty storms that roll through. You get some pretty nasty storms with thunder, bad weather. So we like to say they don't call it Thunder Bay for nothing.
What is the roughest month when it came to all the historical shipwrecks here?
Most of the shipwrecks that you had occurred in the month of November. I mean, you had various months that had more than others, but your bad storms tend to happen in that month of November. It's getting later in the season, closer to winter, so you get these nasty snowstorms that might roll through, and that's when they were really starting to push it in the season. That's where you would get most of your profits. You'd overload these boats a little bit, so you're really pushing the bounds of what was really what you wanted to do. So November was the cruelest month. They had a storm in 1913 called the White Hurricane that went through, and you had a dozen wrecks over the course of just a couple days. They had up to about 35-foot waves, 90-mile-an-hour winds. So it was just like the perfect storm of the way things converged. So again, about a dozen shipwrecks over the course of 3 days. Just absolutely massive waves that you had out in the bay. It was crazy conditions. The temperature of the water is one of the things that's played the biggest part in keeping the shipwrecks preserved the way they are. So once you get down a couple hundred feet, the temperatures are slightly above freezing. So it's almost as if these things are chilled into a perfect state, to where you don't get the critters down there that are going to get on these wrecks. You don't have salt in the water that's going to affect them as well. It's just being cold and fresh. It keeps these things perfectly preserved. If you have shallower water wrecks versus your deep water wrecks, deep water is going to stay cold throughout the entire season. They get a thermocline or an upwelling where it changes a little bit. But in your shallow water, that's when you're really going to see the drastic difference in temperature. Whereas you might get up closer to the 70s. So you'll get algal blooms, you'll get more mussels on these shallower wrecks. So that'll definitely make a difference, absolutely.
Now, when it comes to you personally, what's the most interesting weather you have experienced on these shipwreck tours?
I'd say it's personally when I was working on one of the tours about 3 years back. They were starting the tall ship race from just outside of here going through Mackinac. So again, it was a super foggy day. You can almost not see anything from maybe here to shore. And then all of a sudden you just saw about 10 ships coming out of the mist. So it was almost surreal. It was crazy.
After a beautiful day learning about the shipwrecks and how the weather has influenced them, I just want to personally thank Andrew, for the time given to me to, learn about what the Great Lakes have in store.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, no problem. And this is Ulysses Garcia reporting from WBKB News.